Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. I'm Joey Gunnar here with Trent Finnegan. This is a topic I'm excited to discuss because I've been very critical on Bo Nix his whole season. This whole year, I've been very, very critical about how Bo Nix has played because realistically, he hasn't played well a lot of the games that he's taken the field. But when it mattered most, going up against the Chiefs in the most important game since the 2015 division or AFC champ, that's when it matters the most. He went out and he performed at the level that we had gotten used to. He performed at a very efficient level, and he looked good. He looked good, Trent. I liked the way that Bo played, and I hope that he can continue playing like this because if he goes back to playing the way he has in the past couple games against teams like the Raiders and the Jets, we're not going to see this team go further than the wild card and maybe the divisional round. That's just the way I feel about it right now.
Yeah, and the whole Knicks conversation has been interesting this year, and I've been critical of him as well, and a lot of people around the league, around the country have, and it's because he's a first-round pick. He's a top 12 pick who showed so much poise at the end of last season. He really showed so much growth, and then that vanished at the start of the season. It went back to training wheels offense. It went back to check down Bo. Everyone was so confused. And he played well against the Colts in week 2. That was arguably his best game of the season. But that Titans game was rough. That Chargers game was rough. The Jets game was rough. There's a lot of tough ones out there. And people are sitting here especially me, I'm I know that he's got some good in there somewhere, but it was not coming out at all until the fourth quarter. And I think you really saw it in that Chiefs game. He hits Cortland Sutton on the run on 3rd and 15 late. He puts a corner to Troy Franklin with 50 seconds left where only he can get it. He puts a deep ball up the sideline right in the breadbasket for Troy Franklin. He was making plays on Sunday where everybody is we knew that this was in there, but why has it been waiting to come out to the fourth quarter every single week? And I think that's why they've been so critical because this team is elite. The rest of this roster, take Bo Nix out of it. I know the receiver room's a little tricky. I know the running back room's a little tricky, especially with the Dobbins injury, but this team is elite. These people want to win. And when you have a quarterback who's not playing up to how everybody knows he can play, that's when people get frustrated.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And we know that he can play at that high level because we've seen it in a couple games against Cincinnati, against Dallas. He looked really, really great. He looked like the Bo that we knew going up against those teams. Just against Dallas, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns, no sacks. A great game. That's an insane game. That is the kind of stuff that you see from a franchise quarterback. I mean, 4 touchdowns is incredible, and I'm not asking for that every single game. I'm asking more for what he did against the Chiefs. He didn't throw a touchdown in the Chiefs game, but he was still consistent. He was getting the ball out. He was on time. He was on target, 24 of 37, 295 yards, only 2 sacks, and he left the game up to be decided by the running game. And the running game wasn't at its peak, especially without J.K. Dobbins. He was successfully moving the ball and performing in clutch time scenarios like we've seen him do. And the clutch factor is really one thing that, it is being railed on. Everybody's talking about how good Bo Nix is in the clutch. And that's true. He's very good in the clutch. But as soon as it comes to playoffs, can we expect that same thing? I mean, sure, we can maybe try, but the playoffs are a different monster. And we got to look forward. We're looking back in the past and comparing these games and the good and the bad games that he's had. But moving forward into the playoffs, that kind of clutch aspect isn't going to play the same way. You might have a little bit of that same energy. You might have a good few balls that you get out in the fourth quarter that put you in a scoring position. But you need to be playing at the level that you can play in the fourth quarter throughout all 4 quarters. That's something that we've been harping on so many times. Just play how we know you can throughout all 4 quarters. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and the postseason aspect. So we saw that Bills game last year where he hits Franklin early on that deep ball, and everybody's like, holy cow, is Bo Nix here? And then settled in. The opening script ran out, and they ended up with scoring no more points in that game. I know Lutz missed a field goal before halftime. That could have changed things, but still, that was a slow one from him. And for me, what I look at is his two biggest games in college were two losses against Washington in the 2023 season. The first one was in the middle of the season, which would have put him in great position to make the playoff. The second one was the Pac-12 championship game, which was a playoff game essentially, and he came up short in both those. In that last one, he completed just 61% of his passes. He threw a costly interception in that one. So I'm looking at like the big game performances. The Bills game wasn't the best from him. Those two Washington games, I know a lot of Oregon fans who they say, hey, this guy was great when he's playing Washington State and when he's playing Hawaii and when he's playing Colorado. But when he was playing Washington in those big games, he didn't play like how they knew he could. And I think that's what Broncos fans, it's a similar frustration. Hey, we know he has it in him. We see it against the Bengals. We see it against the Cowboys. We see it in these fourth quarters. Where is it for an entire game against these good teams? That's how this Broncos team needs to win a Super Bowl. That's why these fans are expecting so much out of him. And it's going to get a lot trickier because when contract time comes around after the 2026 season and he's no longer making $4.5 million, he's making $60 million, it's going to be a lot different conversation because the roster is not going to be as good.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And the thing that I really want to point out is, the overarching story of this whole topic is that he played well through 4 quarters against the Chiefs. We saw him light it up. We saw him play at that level. Is this the turning point? We have asked for games, games against the Jets and the Raiders that you're expected to go out there and win by 2 touchdowns. Those should be the turning point games partially because you know that he can do it against these bad teams and partially because he needed to, and he didn't turn it around for those games. Those were not great performances from Bo Nix. They still ended up winning, and that's what mattered in those moments. But a game like this, a game against the Chiefs, a division rival, the Chiefs looking to get into the playoffs, the Broncos looking to become the AFC #1 seed. Bo Nix knew what he needed to do. He passed incredibly well. I mean, he didn't get a touchdown. He didn't throw an interception. It was just pure passing and game managing. And that is the kind of thing that flips the switch, turns it on for the next couple games. Hopefully throughout the rest of the season, this could be the turning point game. And I am praying that it is, because if we're out here after a bye week and we're looking out 2 weeks out and you are going into your next matchup against Washington, who's another garbage team that you're expected to probably win by 2 touchdowns or 2 scores against, you have to be playing at that same level you played at against the Chiefs. That's just what it takes. You got to play at that same level. It doesn't matter if you're expected to beat the Washington Commanders and you know that you can beat them on a field goal after a comeback win in the 4th quarter. You need to have dominance throughout all 4 quarters. And I believe that Bo Nix will. After this game, I believe that he will go out there and completely dominate the Commanders. That's what I can see happening.
Yeah, this is definitely a turning point part in the season, if there's ever going to be one. You play in a massive game against a good opponent, and you play very well against them. And 295 yards is the second most yards he's had in a game this season, and the only time he had more was the Bengals game. And we've talked about that game, how that team is one of the worst teams in football, especially on defense. But so you have the strong performance. Now you have a bye week, and this team is dead. I mean, we see the injuries, we see the schedule. Like, this team is dead. They need this bye week. They're off all week. They need this so bad. So you get this week to recharge and prep even more. And then you have a primetime game. They're not flexing Commanders Broncos out of week 13. There's not a better option. They confirmed it yesterday. So now you have a primetime game after a bye week, after a strong performance, against a defense that's reeling, against a defense that's injured. And then you have another game against Las Vegas. And I think playing them for a second time, you're like, hey, all right, we know they're going to run these coverages and these stints on third down, on second down. You get a game to kind of get a feel for them, which is the good thing about division opponents. So I think that having good Chiefs game, bye week, and then 2 inferior opponents, if this isn't the turning point this season, then I'm not sure what is, because this is the perfect blueprint for where a guy like Bo Nix can turn his season around and really start upping his game as he prepares for a big playoff run.
Yeah. I'm just praying that we're not falling into the same trap that we fell into a couple times this season, where we're going up against the Jets and the Giants and the Texans and the Raiders and expecting huge wins. And you go out there against the Commanders and it ends up being a 14-17 game. I don't see that happening. The Raiders game, you're right. Now that you've got a taste for them, it'll be different. Geno Smith getting out intercepted by Bo Nix. Bo Nix threw more interceptions than Geno Smith in their game. If you could have told me that was ever going to happen, I would have laughed in your face. And now them in 3 weeks playing against each other once again, I'd expect it to be a harder game for the Raiders. But I mean, Bo looked great. Bo looked great. Hopefully he can keep that going. I've got faith that he will. I'm not going to waver in my faith for him. I like what I've seen from him in certain glimpses this season, in certain like small instances. He's really shown that he could be an MVP favorite in certain ways. But overall, 90% of the time, you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, what are we doing here, Bo? Set your feet, play the game. And he looked good doing that against the Chiefs, and I hope he can continue doing that. Is there anything else you want to hit on with Bo Nix here? Is there anything you're seeing going forward into the future that we should be looking at for Bo Nix?
I think another thing kind of with the momentum from the Chiefs game you just brought up was the footwork. The footwork was so much better in that game.
Yeah.
Like the big thing to me, I've brought up this play so many times. It was such a good play. That deep ball to Troy Franklin up the left side was one where he gets to the top of his drop. He steps into that throw. He stands in this pocket, and he's able to hit Franklin. Everybody is like, look, like when he's not scrambling out to the right and punting on the play and throwing it out of bounds, they're like good things. We know that he can do these good things, and you saw him build confidence. And then on the play to Sutton late, that 3rd and 15, he steps up because the DNs go deep down the field, so he steps up, and then he rolls right. Instead of bailing and trying to outrun the DN, he stepped up more in that game, and everyone was like, this is what we've been waiting for. And it resulted in 2 phenomenal plays when he did step up. So I think if he can keep the footwork improving, if he can keep just being on time instead of scrambling, instead of panicking, hitting that check down, letting these deeper routes develop, I think that's a huge key. And it goes back to what I said. You now have a bye week to continue to improve on that. You have 2 inferior opponents to improve on that. This should be the turning point.
Yeah. You can see that his mental clock slowed down against the Chiefs. Like he knew he felt more comfortable in the pocket. He knew he had more time than he had felt in previous games. It was great to see him get back on track. It's great to see what his confidence can do. And like, again, like I don't think people have really turned on Bo Nix. I know people were booing him at the game. Was that this past game that they were booing him? I know that they were booing
that Raiders game. It was that Raiders game, but people said they were booing the play calling, and it was a mixed reaction. Be fair. There were still boos no matter what, and that offense was bad.
I don't think that that's indicative of how Broncos country feels about Bo Nix. I think that's how Broncos country feels when they know they can see better. I really did. Like that. That's not Broncos country being upset at Bo Nix. That's Broncos country saying, "Hey, Bo, come on. We know who you are. We know you can be better. Just go out and prove it to us. Prove it to the other team. You don't have to prove it to us. Prove it to everybody else that you can do what we know you can do." And that's winning football games. And he's doing that so far. He's winning football games. He just needs to clean it up a little bit. Stop putting yourselves in positions where you're winning by 1 score. You know, they're what, 7-0 now this season after winning by 1 score games after the Chiefs game? It's around there. It's 6-0 or 7-0 around there. But they close out these short games and these really close games. And I like it for the regular season. But postseason, man. Postseason scares me. But yeah, let's move on because sadly we've got something upsetting to talk about, and that's how the Nuggets played yesterday. I won't say it's the Nuggets' fault that they lost this game. They didn't play well towards the end, but there were some really questionable things that ended the game in the way that it did. The Nuggets ended up losing to the Bulls 130-127, officially marking the first regulation home loss in Denver this season. It's a sad, sad day, Trent. I'm not feeling good about it.
No, it's tough. And this game really felt like a Michael Malone, like a 2024, 2025 game. Like you got Adelman was yelling at the refs all night. You have a team that looks uninspired out there. They're kind of just going through the motions. And the biggest thing here is it's not going to show up in the box score. The rebounding was dead even. 13 offensive rebounds for both teams, 40 defensive rebounds for both teams. The Nuggets gave up way too many offensive rebound opportunities in that fourth quarter that extended possessions, and it looked like the Bulls wanted it more. And, the Bulls, they were coming off a double overtime game in Utah the night before.
Which they lost.
And everybody knows that the hardest back-to-back in the NBA is Utah and Denver. It is. And it's not, and we know Utah's not like a finals contender, but it's strictly the altitude. And then when you factor in a double overtime game before it, I don't know if the Nuggets looked at that and said, "Oh, we got this one," or what, but it was just like 130 points in regulation to the Bulls. It's just, they're a team, they're 2-5 on the road now. It was you could tell that they were looking past this one, and they got outworked on the glass and they got out hustled late, and that was the difference in the game. And it's simple as that. But here's the thing. They're still 10-3. You have an off night. There's 82 games in this season. Was it a great game? No. Was it disappointing? Yeah. Flush it. Move on to the next one. It's mid-November. It's fine.
Exactly. It's shocking. The Bulls did look like they wanted it more, and I can't believe how well that they played coming off of a double overtime back-to-back and then playing against the finals secondary favorites behind OKC in Mile High, one of the hardest places to play, if not the hardest place to play in the NBA. You got to give some flowers to the Bulls there. Great for them.
Yeah, but, great game.
A Bulls win against the Nuggets matters more than a Nuggets win against the Bulls. The Bulls are they're this to the Nuggets. They are this big. The Bulls, on the other hand, beating the Nuggets, they're David and they're taking down Goliath. That means more to them than it does if the Nuggets were to have won. They should have won. Nonetheless, the Nuggets should have won. There was a really questionable call towards the end. There were a few questionable calls. The reffing in this game was
bad.
Was unpleasant.
It was so bad.
It was a really poorly officiated game, and I hate blaming refs, and I'm not going to blame the refs. The Nuggets lost that game. I'm not going to just put it all on the refs, but there was a jump ball that was clearly a jump ball when the Nuggets were down by 3 with 18 seconds remaining. But it's okay, as the ball is tied up. The Bulls head coach can call a timeout. That doesn't matter. You can call a timeout when the ball is clearly in possession of both teams. I almost threw my phone across the room. I almost threw the controller and freaked out.
Anybody watching that game, I'm right with you. I was yelling. I was like, the ref blows a whistle and he puts his hands like this, so then he can go this for a jump ball, and he goes here. And then he goes, time there.
Yeah.
And I was like, he had his hands ready to flip to the thumbs up. And then after that, or around that, I can't remember if this was before or after the jump ball, but Jokic gets a strip on Vucevic, and David Adelman burns his last time out to challenge it. And you could see the ball go straight down after Jokic hits it. It grazes Vucevic's leg, and then it angles to the side. It's like the ball only changes angles because it hits something. That's basic physics.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah, I remember.
And they kept it Bulls ball, and then Vucevic hits it what ended up being a dagger 3 right after that. And it was so both of those things didn't go the Nuggets' way, and yes, if they should they've been in that position, no, they shouldn't have been down 18. There's a lot of things they should have done, but those two calls down the stretch was just a total facepalm.
Yeah, and we can blame the call. The calls were definitely poor, but there were 3 possessions in a row within the final minute and 30 seconds that the Nuggets missed on. 3 straight possessions they missed a shot when they were down by 2. And down by 1 at certain points. They had points to take the lead. They had moments where they could easily have taken the lead in clutch time, and they missed shots. They continued to miss shots. I don't know if I've ever seen Jokic miss a post hook from 10 feet out, not even 10 feet out like that in clutch time. It was bad, and it came down to the final shot. Jokic took a half-court 3 and ended up missing. But I mean, it's Jokic. How much more can he do? He had 36, 18, and 13. Another triple-double before the fourth quarter, and it came early in the third quarter. At halftime, you had 13, 10, and 9. What the hell?
It's
13,
crazy.
10, and 9 at halftime? So, yeah, ended with a monster triple-double, but that's not whose game it really was. It was one person's game to show out, and it was really good to see this guy playing so well, and that's Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson had a hell of a game, playing great defense, shooting the ball from 3 and making it, like
5 for
actually
7.
confidently shooting the ball from 3 and both making the shot. So first of all, seeing him actually have the confidence to shoot 7 threes in a game, that's what I've been asking for. Finally. And not only that, but he made 5 of them. A great game from Cam Johnson. That's exactly what you want to see. He had 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 for 12 from the field, and then 5 of 7 from 3. What a great game from Cam.
Great game. And it's interesting how he comes back from a right arm strain and is now he's shooting the ball well. It's like, okay, like this is awesome. Maybe it took an injury to get him going, but great Cam game. Great Jamal game. I know he had the bad turnover late when he telegraphed that pass to Jokic on the pick and roll, and Dosunmu took it for a dunk. But great Jamal game. He had 34, 12 for 22. And I want to go back to the Jokic thing. Like, yeah, he had 36. He had 18 rebounds. He had 13 assists. It wasn't really a great Jokic game, at least offensively. Like, he's 13 for 27. He's 1 for 7 from the field. And I am going to say this over and over and over. When he takes 5 or 6, you get up in the 3-point count. It's not how this team wins basketball games. This team wins games when Jokic shoots 3 threes, when he shoots 2, when he shoots 1. And he didn't make his first 3. It was a crazy 3, but he didn't make it till with like a minute left when he just decided from the right wing he was going to put the ball in the basket, and there was nothing anybody else could do about it. But and I know that's technically 1 for 6 because you got the buzzer beater at the end, but they're not like when Jokic takes 27 shots and when he takes 7 threes, that's not how this Nuggets team wins basketball games. It's a formula that we've seen time and time again. It showed last night. They lost to an inferior opponent. That wasn't great. And then we've been talking about the bench, and I know you got the injuries. The bench lost that game. I mean, my guy Spencer Jones was a minus 16 in 6 minutes. Valanciunas was a minus 15 in 5 minutes. Bruce Brown minus 21. Bruce Brown minus 17. Tim Hardaway minus 21. It's just is not what you need. And Dosunmu for the Bulls is a plus 25. Javon Carter's a plus 20. Game is fully on that game fully swung in the bench minutes. It looked like it looked like a 2024-25 Nuggets game. And there were some good performances. I love what Jamal brought. I love what Cam brought, but too many bad ones outweigh the good ones. Yeah. The bench was in complete disarray for the Nuggets. And you look at the Bulls, every single player in the starting group was minus in the plus-minus, while every single player on the bench was plus, and plus by a good amount. I mean, just let's read the points here. I won't read the names, but just the points for each bench player that played for the Bulls. 16 points, 7, 5, 2, 15, 21. You got 3 players on the bench putting up over 15 points, while on the Nuggets, the highest scoring player was Tim Hardaway Jr. with 4 points. Jonas Valanciunas had 2, and Jalen Pickett had 3. And the other 2 players, Spencer Jones and Bruce Brown, who played 0 points. Just a complete mirror of what we've usually seen from this bench. It's almost like there was a little thunderstruck. If you've seen that movie, the Bulls thunderstruck the Nuggets and took away their bench powers. An inferior opponent, you want to beat them, but it's November 17th when they lost that game. It's not going to matter in the long run. When the Nuggets are making it to the finals at the end of this season, we're not going to be thinking about how the bench outplayed the Nuggets in that Bulls game back on November 17th. We just won't be thinking about it. No. And they'll get back. They'll get back. They're got a couple hard games coming up. I mean, they're playing the Kings again this weekend, but they're playing another tough opponent in the Rockets coming up soon. That is going to be a crazy game. Talk about contenders
both of those teams looking to be favorites, or some of the favorites in the top 3 to come out of the West this season. So that'll be a really fun game, and I've got faith that the Nuggets will be able to bring it back. But let's move on. We saw a former Buff take the field for the first time this weekend. It was the long-awaited arrival of Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, and it did not go well. It did not go well. I was hoping for it to go better, but Shedeur Sanders took the field for the first time in his NFL career against the Ravens this weekend, and it was a crap show. It was a crap show, Trent. It wasn't great.
It's a tough one. So you want to start? How should we start this? You want to start with the good or the bad stuff? What do you want to go
I think we
for?
start with the good, because what? His debut started very good. It started well.
Yeah, he completed his first 2 passes. I thought he scrambled decent. He had 3 runs for 16 yards. He got a key first down on a 3rd and 3 on one of them. Which CU fans, he was never a runner at CU, but he scrambled and used his legs at really important times in Boulder. And then he had that big 25-yard strike over the middle to Harold Fannin, which was a rope. He put that thing on a rope, layered it in between the backers and the safeties, found his guy in stride, huge gain late. And then I will say the 3rd and 5 at the end, he throws this go ball, and it was perfectly placed. It was right in the breadbasket of an undrafted free agent wide receiver, because that's who the Browns are working with. I mean, because Judy gets covered on one end, Fannin, the good tight end, gets covered, and then you got to throw to undrafted free agents. And he's got chemistry with that guy, because he's not working with the ones at practice. I know it's been a thing of, oh, why isn't he taking snaps with the ones? It's like, hey, you got another rookie quarterback starting. You got to get him ready. So that's a weird argument to me, but he throws this perfectly placed go ball, and it gets knocked out by other former Buff Chidobe Awuzie. That was the good. The bad was he took 2 sacks for 27 yards, and he kind of did the thing where he takes a couple steps back and loses an extra 3 or 4 yards when the play's already dead. And it didn't seem like he had any chemistry with his receivers. He missed some throws. He had one incompletion that should have been picked off, because he's running a little slide route. He's rolling out, and he looks back, and Kyle Hamilton predicted it and jumped it. He just dropped it. And then his actual interception, he thought it was man coverage, so he led the ball outside. It was actually zone, and the guy's just standing right there for a pick. So it was a first start. Josh Allen was 6 for 15 in his first start. He wasn't great. And I know everybody uses Josh Allen because he was not great his rookie season, but it's not – you can't close the book on one game. He looked like a guy who got thrown in the second half against a team that had Kyle Hamilton leading their defense. Like, it's not going to be pretty for a lot of guys who make their, hey, welcome to the NFL. Here's Kyle Hamilton and a Ravens defense. And I don't know if you saw, the Ravens were disguising all their blitzes. They were disguising all their coverages. They were making it real hard for Shedeur out there. So it wasn't great. Dylan Gabriel's still in the concussion protocol, so Shedeur's probably going to start on Sunday. They play the Raiders, who we just watched get steamrolled on Monday Night Football last week by the Cowboys. And I know that the Cowboys have a great offense and the Browns don't, but the Raiders aren't good. Shedeur is going to get a full week to practice with the ones, to kind of get his game script ready, to get in a flow of things. And I think it's great that he's getting this opportunity, and this is where he can show, like, hey, this is who I really am. And if it's bad again, it's bad. And that's why he slid to the 5th round. And if he comes out and plays well, it is the Raiders. But you'll get a lot of people saying, like, hey, here's this guy. We know he can play like this. And he has a bad offensive line. He's got bad skill receivers. It's a bad situation in Cleveland. No, there's a reason why nobody's succeeded in Cleveland. Shedeur is the 42nd starting quarterback for that franchise since 1999.
Oh, my gosh. That's an insane stat right there. I mean, it's insane. But with this game, you got to put it into context. The Ravens started this season in a hole, and they have climbed themselves out of that. They are making a push towards the playoffs with Lamar Jackson being back. They needed to get this win against the Browns, and they were putting all the pressure that they could on Shedeur Sanders. It's a hard first game. I mean, it's a really unlucky, an unfortunate scenario that he got thrown into that game being his first. But going up against the Raiders this weekend, we're looking at Broncos bye week, which games are going to be watching. Of course, the Chiefs versus the Colts. Chiefs versus the Colts. That's going to be a game that I'm going to need to watch right away. That's going to be an insane game. I said it yesterday. I might be rooting for the Chiefs in this game, strangely enough. The Browns versus the Raiders. Not only because I want to see the Raiders lose, but because I want to see Shedeur Sanders throw for 300 yards in his first start. Those are the two games that I'm going to be watching so heavily this weekend. I've got faith in Shedeur, and I think that Cleveland does too. I think that fan base still has faith in their rookie receiver, and I'm not talking about Dylan Gabriel when I'm talking about rookie receiver. They've lost faith in Dylan Gabriel. They never had faith in him. They've got faith in Shedeur Sanders. I'm expecting a big game from him this weekend.
Yeah, and you just saw when he went into the game, like the crowd was the loudest it's been since the 2020 playoffs. Like,
yeah,
it was a great atmosphere, and again, like there were some bad things, but he made two throws, the deep ball to Fannin and then the deep ball up the sideline. Those were two throws that Gabriel hasn't made because he just hasn't been pushing the ball down the field at all. And I think that you could tell, like, there's like a hope, like, hey, like, let's give this guy a chance because he has that aggressive trait in him that this other quarterback doesn't. And that afternoon window next week, that afternoon window sucks. Like you have Cleveland Raiders, Jacksonville, Arizona, Philly, Dallas, and Atlanta, New Orleans. That's a terrible quad box right there. So
yeah, that's a
there's gonna be a lot of eyes on that Browns game for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, it'll probably be the second most watched next to Philly, Dallas, just because those are talking about powerhouses of fan bases. But yeah, it'll definitely be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see it. I've got faith in Shedeur. I've got faith in the Nuggets, and I've got faith in Bo Nix. That's how I'm going to wrap up this show. I've got faith in those three things right there. But thank you guys so much for joining. This was a fun conversation to have. I'm excited to see what Bo Nix does in 2 weeks. Take a little vacation, go to Mexico, on this bye week, really relax your senses, get into a groove, become that Bo Nix that we know you can become, or just play like the Bo Nix that we know you can be. But make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, you have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.